I'm paying for all of those things, right?
Hi, I go by the name of Tyson, and I'm an artist manager. So I specialize in making sure that you have music out there, your image is clean, putting music that is proper and relevant to based on time, and managing expectations and just making sure that you are a complete artist besides just going to a gig. One of the funniest stories, but then I don't normally share this, but a very close friend of mine goes by Dumelo Manyoni, Mr JazziQ, known to most. So he bought a speaker 2010, we were fidgeting around, it had a mixer and we were just trying to blend music together. And then I was like, this is not technically for me, I'd rather be in the background, and that's where my career basically started. I fell in love in music, went and worked for a music store, and everything just went up from there. And then eventually we started just being friends on the road, going with Jazzy Disciples and just being around the people that are in that space. And then automatically I went and studied to be a PR specialist in the media space, and then here I am today. I've always wanted to do something that involves music, yes indeed, but then for me it was more of, I was a very shy person before, so I never really liked being out there. So it took me like quite some time for me to kind of get out of that shell, and then I think that's where I found my basically like that role that kickstarted everything for me. I've got a team that goes by Dreams Communications. So we have Olazi, Good Guy, Fake Wow, Mpost Busy, I have Zuma, and I help JazziQ also. The wildest thing with all the artists that I currently have now, these are people that we all grew up together. Me and JazziQ have been childhood friends who I got introduced to Sabelo Zuma by JazziQ. And then Fake Wow is a very close friend of mine that lives in Rustenburg, which is originally where my dad is from. And he started a clothing brand, which I supported big time. And then one thing led to another, he became a musician. And then here I am helping him out in that music space. Olazi was a very close friend of mine, very young. He used to come and watch me play soccer during those days, and then automatically we built a relationship over 10 years. And then he became an artist, and then I'm managing him now. So everyone has their own story. So it's not people that are just kind of like picked up along the way, and it's people that I've known for quite some time. And it just made my life easier because now I manage them, and it also allows you to see the growth point from where they began and to where they are today. The beautiful thing about it is the age difference. So all of them are actually younger than me. So the beautiful thing is that when they see me, it's always been Grootman. So I've never really gotten rid of that word Grootman and that name tagline Grootman. I've stuck with it ever since. So that helps me like balance the relationship between the two. Split sheets are so important, man. I mean, you know, there are people that put in the effort and there are people that don't generally. And there are people that wake up and make the music and make it sound nice. We need to understand who's who. And once you kind of like understand who plays which role, each person can be compensated accordingly. So in reality, the importance of split sheets is that know your role, understand your role, and know where you fit in within that space of any song that you're doing. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we put in more effort and get less out of it. So once you start understanding your role, automatically you'll start understanding your value. You know, artists aren't really well informed as much as we are, because some people go into studio with the mindset of song for a song, and they don't tell you as a manager that, you know what, we agreed that we giving each other one song. But when we're talking from a publishing point of view, it's a different story. Song for song doesn't apply. We need to be compensated accordingly. We need to know who was on vocals. If someone wrote the song, that person needs to be credited. So it's very important that people understand that split sheets are just not because we're doing it and it looks cool. It's very vital also for long term. One thing about me, I involve my artist in every meeting. So if Samro had to call me and say, let's have a meeting about your artist, I'm legit dragging him out of bed and say, let's go there. Because I want him to be as informed as I am. I make sure that he listens. Whatever he didn't understand, he's obviously going to ask me on the side and I'll inform you. So when we're talking about live performance, it's based on relevance. And then when we're talking about streams, it's more of, are you doing music for a long-term base, or are you doing it because it's going to sound good now and then it dies out? So I always suggest to people that do music that's going to last long. Then your family gets to feed off from that. That's the efforts that you put in. But for now, if you want to make money and be good and look cool, then the live performances, that's where they come in. We have listening sessions, which are very, very crucial. You know what I mean? You need to listen to the lyrical content of what people are selling. Like, people sell different things. Identify to what you want, identify to who you are, stay true to your craft, and that's the most important thing. People only listen because they buy into who you are selling them. You know what I mean? People don't just buy in because it sounds cool at that time. If people really like your character and what you've built and what you've put out, people will stick to it. I mean, we meet at different times in life, I believe, you know what I mean? The most important thing is what I can do for you at that time. Be it a good time or a bad time. I believe that there's always time for everything. And yes, I've been in a position where I've had to let go of certain situations just to also kind of like save my character as a human. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we're all humans, and that's the reality of it. But we have to move on. So when I first kind of like took this serious, I took on a very heavy role. Black is Brown when it was formulated. It was formulated under a certain group of artists, which was Amaroto, Pastor 929, Lady Do, there was still MJ at that time. We tried getting Melon Sleaze, but they eventually took them on the side, and then we had him Zoo M. So those people were the people that I used to work hand in hand with. And then eventually I created sort of like a culture that would support them. I opened a space called Jump Park, and then we kind of like merged that music industry with Jump Park to make it sound nice. And I created a home for them, and then eventually I had to part ways with that and just separate the two. So the types of deals that I deal with, those are to do with your personal image, you know what I mean? And then from a music point of view, if a deal comes in, it must come into your publisher. So your publisher would facilitate everything, and then they'll get back to you with the information, and then if you agree, you agree. If you don't, and it's like, okay, cool. But when it comes to me, from my personal perspective, it's more of your image. So if La Costa comes and says we want to use Zuma, for example, for a campaign, they come to us and then we agree. If they want to use the music, we send them to the publisher. Because from a management point of view, that the value of a song is only known by a publisher. So I can easily say I want 50K for you guys to use it. But like on streaming and everything, it easily makes that in less than a week. So your publisher will say, no, the value of the song is worth $1 million. Interviews, visibility, and making sure that you put your music out at the correct time. Because people tend to, like, well, let me not say people, artists hog on to music for too long. He'll probably play a song on the live today, and people will demand it for 3 months. Like that song that you played on that live, and then eventually when you drop it, it's like the momentum has already died out. So rather make use of that momentum at the right time. You know what I mean? Yes, sometimes we need to bake brownies because the drop schedule doesn't allow you to drop the song, but if the demand is there, might as well just go with it. So make sure that you're doing things at the right time, because trust me, you can release over 100 songs in a year with no impact. But with the correct PR schedule and the correct marketing plan that you have for your album or your singles and everything should be good. The beautiful thing about working as a team is that everyone knows how to manipulate something. So if I'm gonna be changing last minute, and then like one thing you get a lot is that artists forget their birthdays, and all they want to do is birthday celebrations, and then they've got this really hot song. It's like, I want to release the song on my birthday, but it's not part of the drop schedule. Now you need to kind of like create something that is not gonna impact that. If we're gonna do something on a birthday special, then let's do it like that. Now let's change the whole schedule to fit you and that time frame. But then I'd rather like be engaged prior before, because also you need to give DSPs enough time for pitching your music, because it takes around about a month for the pitch of the music. And then if your music is not pitched and then it doesn't do well, you're gonna come back to your team and say, no, yeah, but then we always make them aware that whatever happens, it's not gonna get dropped on exactly that date, but we'll make it happen within that month. I don't know why people aren't doing remixes in the Amapiano space. People in the Amapiano space have this thing of now sebenzisa chord lam melody, but then we come from an era whereby there was a remix. So you can't really complain about it if you've never studied the whole music industry and how it works. So for me, if you want to make use of it, just credit it accordingly. You know, my artist's achievements and milestones have never really been something that I've wanted to carry, and that's why I've always wanted to be in the background. But from me personally, I think it would be seeing the people that I grew up with and the artists that I manage growing and buying houses, buying cars. For me, that's something that I've always wanted for them, and that's one thing that I always advocate for. Like, if your life is good, I feel like mine is easier. Be prepared to not sleep. Be prepared to be stressed. Be prepared to not have time for yourself, your relationship, the people around you, family, because being an artist manager means you basically living your life to go live someone else's life. And it's a beautiful experience, but then the one thing that you must realize is that if you really want to do it, you can make it happen. I always tell people that, you know what, if you feel like you are equipped enough to do something, go for it. Don't let anyone stop you. I mean, there's never a right time, there's never a wrong time. Any time is any time, so like just make it happen and then it should be good. Hi, I'm Tyson. Catch me on Mokima, Kona. We are